Hey family, this is Carl Wynn, and I've got one powerful question for you today. What kind of legacy are you leaving behind? I believe every Christian, whether an entrepreneur, employee, or leader, has a calling to pass something down, something eternal, not just success, but significance, not just wealth, but worship, not just influence but impact. So today, I want to challenge you and walk you through 10 questions that will help you build and pass on a legacy of faith. So, the reason why this is even coming up is because when I turned 40, I came up with a theme for my 40s. It's called building legacy. And in fact, building a legacy of righteousness. And so I came up with these seven core areas of building a legacy, and faith was the first one. So let me define legacy for you. What is it? Number one, legacy isn't just about what's written in your will, it's about what's written on people's heart because of how you live. I thought about this about a year ago. I started to think about my eulogy. What would I want people to say about me at my funeral? And it got me thinking about my life now. I know that what I want people to think about, I need to start living that way today. And so the Bible tells us this in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 1 through 9. It says, God commands his people not just to teach his ways, but to live them out in every area of life. When you sit at home, when you walk along the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. So you see, legacy isn't just taught, but it's called. For my family, it's why we chose to homeschool, not because it's easy, but because it allows us to disciple our children daily. It's not just spiritual, but emotional, relational, and even professionally. So let me take you to a conversation that I had with a TSU student recently. So we were having lunch. His name is Makai. And we started talking about legacy. And he asked me, why do you take your kids into meetings with you? Or why do you homeschool your children? And I just smiled and said, because they're going to catch more by watching me than by me just listening to me. And so, discipleship, building legacy is not just about content, but it's about context. It's not about what we just proclaim, but it's about how we practice. And so, you just got to know it's not just about devotional, it's about decision. It's not just about Sunday service, it's about everyday service. And so, I take my children into boardrooms with me. I show them how faith works in business, how leadership and service look, what it looked like in worship, and how calling shows up in contracts, not just in church. So the question I have, what kind of legacy am I intentionally or unintentionally leaving behind? Because guess what? We're always planting seeds. The question is, will they grow into fruit or frustration? And so the question is, we got to ask ourselves, what am I intentionally or unintentionally leaving behind? That's the question that we got to wrestle with, whether we are at work or at home or in our community. What are we intentionally or unintentionally leaving behind? And remember, more is caught than taught. More is is not just about content, but it's about context. It's not just about proclamation, but it's about practice. And so the second question that you got to ask yourself, have I considered that my daily choices shape my children's future fate? And see, our kids don't just hear what we say, they mirror what we model. For example, all five of my children now are writing books because I'm writing books. All five of my children love to read books because I love to read books. They're not just, I'm not just telling them to read, but I'm showing them that I love to read. So they're getting a love for learning because I love learning. So our children model what we do. They're a mirror. So the real question is, if you want to look at a man or a woman, you need to look at their children because their children are a reflection of them, especially young children. Now, the older children, that's another question, right? But for the younger children, you can really see what the home like is like when you look at them. So the third question is, am I more focused on leaving an inheritance of money or a legacy of mission? Now, let me just say, leaving an inheritance of money is great. It's very biblical. It's a principle that the Bible talks about. So it's nothing wrong with leaving a legacy of money, and you should, and I want to do that. However, guess what? It's not just about wealth, it's about worship. Use money to build the mission, not just the mansion. So for me, my children get a chance to see me talking about how our mission is lived out in the way we work, in the way we serve on the campus of TSU, how we serve in our church. My children are hearing our mission, even how we are missionally investing in them. So all five of my children, they've been on TSU campus with me several times to pass out flyers, to talk about the gospel, to pass out food, to disciple. That these my children are there with me evangelizing. So this is a great way for me to build legacies. So when my children get older, it won't be confusing to them. It won't be something out of the ordinary for them to say, I'm going to work as a missionary in my business or even on a college campus with my children. There is going to be normal for them because we are practicing it before them. And so that is a legacy you want to think about leaving, not just money, but mission. But here, let me hear you, hear me say this. You do need to leave behind money. It's a great tool. Money is a great tool to be passed on to the next generation. So the fourth question is, how can I better integrate discipleship into my daily parenting? Well, to do that, it's about thinking less about family devotion and more about devotional living. Let your grocery store trip, your morning walk, your business deal become discipleship moments. Because guess what? You cannot stimulate life in a classroom or even just sitting at the kitchen table. The questions of life, the questions that your children really need to ask comes through daily living outside of the home. Sometimes it's inside of the home, but most of the time it's outside of the home as you go through life. And so I take my children with me, and those are some great conversations to have. I remember a few years ago, I took my oldest son to work with me, And in this community where we were serving, there was a man called Mike. Now, Mike pushed the basket. He he cursed. He got angry, got upset, but I engaged him. And so this one particular time, Mike was needing some help, and I didn't have the time or the resource to help him. And he just started yelling at me and all of these things. And my oldest son got a chance to see how I responded to Mike. I could have got angry and yelled at Mike and just really went in on him. But I gently just listened to Mike and just told him I can't help you right now because I help Mike a lot. But my son was able to watch how I handled that tough situation. Was I going to blow up or did I blow it off? So that's what I did. I blew it off and just went on. Question five: what excuses have kept me from bringing my children into the boardroom of life? Some of us say they're too young. God says start early. Remember Samuel. Remember David. Remember Josiah. So we're living in an age where we are prolonging um, childhood. We're prolonging adolescence. We're prolonging young adulthood. And so we feel like our children are too young to learn from boardrooms, learn about business. But this is the fertile ground is the young age where they're being shaped. And so we need our children to be in the boardroom. We need our children to be the next businessmen and businesswomen. And it starts at a young age, not just when they get older. And so right now, all five of my children, they have networking skills. They have skills to shake hands. They have skills to sell because I take them into boardrooms with me. I take them into meetings with me. I take them to work with me so that they can shake hand and network so that they can be prepared to live this out as they get older. So I'm not raising children, I'm raising adults who are going to be citizens who not just who consume, but who contributes. And so if I don't give them a perspective of what that looks like right now, then how am I to expect them to live that out when they become older? I need to set the expectation now that is normal and is natural and is healthy to be a contributor. And guess what? If I don't bring them into the boardroom and show them that creating value in the marketplace is good and is godly, and this is how you do it, then they're going to be hesitant, right? So now, even now, I'm working with college students on the campus of TSU who are struggling with how to live out their faith in the marketplace. They're questioning, am I to work? Am I to make money? Does this honor God? What does this look like? And so I have opportunity to invest in these college students. But what if those college students would have started when they're younger? They would have had some of these questions answered. Sixth question is: do my work and my faith feel separate, or am I showing my family what worship looks like at work? Listen, your kids need to see you pray before you pitch. Worship as you work. It's legacy. Children see me praying about our business, about our money, about our mission to impact lives worldwide. My children see me praying about our goals, our vision to really impact lives, to grow our income, our influence. They see that. We're not just doing that on Sunday, but we're doing it throughout the day. We're doing it throughout the week as we work. My children are witnessing this. Your children need to witness this. Our children need to witness this. Your grandchildren need to witness this. Question seven: Who in my community or my workplace could benefit from seeing me model faith in action? Remember, your legacy might not just be your biological children. It may be spiritual sons and daughters watching from the sidelines. Think about it. God is uniquely placing you in the marketplace so that you can impact others that the church will never be able to impact. The church goes to the marketplace when you go and you show up and you live out your faith unapologetically, touching the lives of people in your industry, in your company, whether you be an entrepreneur or an employee, whether you're an executive leader or you're just sweeping the floors. Your work is important. The way you show up is important because guess what? God has placed people around you, whether it's your clients, your team, your vendors, and in your community for you to impact. So, the eighth question: am I ready to accept the challenge of being a missionary moneymaker? That's my tribe. People who make money to make a difference. People who take Jesus into the job site. Let me tell you again, let me say this clearly. Making money is great. It's not bad. Money is a tool. And remember this, you need to write this down. Money is not a tool to measure your identity, but money is a tool to measure your impact. So, for example, Apple is $1 trillion business. And because it's $1 trillion business, what it tells you is that Apple is impacting lives worldwide. And so for me, my goal is to have a $1 billion business by 2030. And so if you're out there and you're an investor and you are someone who really see the importance of making a global impact, connect with me because listen, I can't do this on my own. I'm looking for impact partners to help me really take this mission farther and faster than I can do on my own. So in order for me to have a $1 billion business, I need partners. So I know God has raised up leaders who have experiences, expertise, education, who's been in an environment of building and growing businesses. You need to connect with me. You are a missionary moneymaker, and we need to make a difference together by making a dime, making a dollar. So connect with me. So I want to encourage you, let's go make it happen. Take up the challenge. Are you ready to accept the challenge of being a missionary moneymaker to increase your impact, your income, and your influence in the marketplace? God needs you. Remember, God works through people. So, the ninth question: what practical steps can I take this week to teach, model, or live out a truth from Deuteronomy chapter 6? Maybe it's praying with your kids before bedtime, or inviting them to shadow you for a day at work. Or maybe if you're the business owner, maybe you say, this is setting aside a day at work for children to come with their parents. Or maybe it's a day of every month to make sure you are utilizing your business to invest in the next generation. You can do it. And the last question, question 10. If my life ended today, what story of faith would my children and community tell about me? Would they say you played it safe or that you lived stint? That's the real question that you got to ask yourself because tomorrow is not promised to us. And what we do today matters. And so the question is, You got to think about what kind of legacy do I want to leave? And so, as I close, legacy isn't built in a day, but is built daily. So, if you felt stirred up in any of these questions, don't scroll away. Pause, reflect, act. Choose one area today where you're going to begin to leave a legacy on purpose, not unintentionally. And guess what? If this resonates with you, then you're one of us. You're a missionary moneymaker. You believe in building something eternal while doing something excellent. So invite you, follow me, subscribe, and share this message with someone who needs a reminder that nothing is a waste and legacy and who wants to live a legacy on purpose. And guess what? And if you want to go deeper into this message, visit my website at carlwyn.com or missionarymoneymaker.com. I love to walk with you on this journey. Remember, your work is worship, your calling is clear, and your legacy start now. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.